Alright, we're going to talk about the commercial revolution, and by commercial we mean business or economics, and by revolution we mean there's going to be a lot of changes occurring. So changes in business and economics. Now, one of the biggest changes is that the economy becomes global. As you can see here, all of these trading routes, Europeans, after they explore and colonize, are now going to connect pretty much every part of the world. China, India, Africa, the Middle East, the Americas, Europe. It's all connected by the European trade route. And a good example of this, and one of the other changes, is that silver mined in the Americas is going to become the global currency. It's going to be what's used in China and India and Africa and Europe. It's going to become the global currencies, what everybody's using to buy and sell goods. Another one of the big changes is the Columbian Exchange. Now, the Columbian Exchange, the Columbian refers to Christopher Columbus as he's sailing to the New World, and the exchange of goods. There were a lot of goods in the Americas that Europeans had never seen or experienced before, and there were a lot of things that were brought to the Americas by Europeans that the Americans had never seen. One new good that was introduced to Europe from the Americas, some really important ones are from Europe from the Americas. Okay, our tobacco is a real big one. Cocoa, which makes chocolate. Corn, which you use for food. And two of the biggest ones are the sweet potato and the potato. These are going to create a stable food supply in Europe and allow the population to grow, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But from Europe to the Americas, there were also things. The biggest one is diseases. Smallpox, flu, typhus, measles, malaria, diphtheria, whooping cough. All these things the Native Americans had never experienced before. It was devastating to their population. Another big one is livestock. The only real large animal that's in the Americas is the buffalo, and that's really only in North America. But generally, especially in Central and South America, they didn't really have any large domesticatable animals. So bringing livestock over made a lot of big changes too. But one of the other big things that isn't on this map is just the movement of people, the exchange of people. So Europeans and Africans that are now moved to the Americas. So that's a big part of the Columbian Exchange. Now, Europeans in this commercial revolution, they wanted to make a lot of money. They had all these goods from the Columbian Exchange. They wanted to make money. And so they employed an idea called mercantilism. Now, mercantilism is when you export more than you import, which also you could say you sell more than you buy. If you're selling a lot, you're making money. And if you're not spending it all buying things or importing things, then you still have a lot of money. You're getting very wealthy. So Europeans used this idea of mercantilism to make a lot of money, to become rich. Now also, another way you can have mercantilism is not sell more than you import, but export expensive goods, things that cost a lot, and import cheap goods, things that are not very expensive. That can also make you a lot of money. So Europeans employed this idea to get wealthy. Now, this is great for Europeans because the Europeans will grow rich. But if one person is exporting more than they're importing, the other people have to import more than they export. So this makes Europeans get rich, but everybody else is going to get real poor. And this leads to a lot of resentment in the colonies, the people that are living in colonies, because they're not going to be getting as rich as Europeans. And with this mercantilism, we see the rise of triangular trade. Okay? This is trade between Europe, Africa, and the colonies in the Americas. And basically, there's three legs to triangular trade. One of them is from Europe to Africa. And basically, Europeans would make manufactured goods, things like guns or other technological goods. And then they would take them to Africa, where they would buy slaves from Africa. Then the next leg of the journey would be from Africa to the Americas, any place in the Americas, and they would take the slaves that they had bought and the leftovers of their manufactured goods, go to the Americas and sell those there. And when they were in the Americas, they would sell the slaves to the manufactured goods and then buy raw materials that then they would take back to Europe to make more manufactured goods. So we have this three-legged triangular trade. Now, we talked about the Columbian Exchange, and part of this goes along with triangular trade too. All these new things, the potato, the sweet potato, corn, were all things new foods that allowed a stable food supply. So the population was growing, which caused urbanization and specialization in labor. And when more people are specializing, that means more businesses are growing. So again, we have this commercial revolution, businesses are growing. Now, this new wealth in European cities and an increase in education paired together leads to the growth of the gentry class. Okay? These are educated, rich people that live in cities. Now, this gentry class had an expendable income. They have money that they can use. They don't need to spend all their money to buy groceries to survive. They have extra money that they can go spend as they please. And this is going to help Europe even grow more because they're going to be able to spend it in business. Also, the church removed a ban on loaning money with interest. Before, it was a sin to loan money with interest. Jews could do it, and that's why Jews had got an early start in banking. But now the Christians are going to be allowed to do this by the Catholic Church, and banking is going to increase dramatically. And what that results in is a new type of business called a joint stock company. Now, a joint stock company is where people can buy stock. People can invest their money, all these gentries with expendable income can give their money to a business to help get it started. And in return, these people who invest their money are partial owners of that business. So if the business makes money, a portion of its profits go to the investors. So these people investing could make a lot of money. And some famous examples are the Muscovy Company and the British East India Company. These are all in England. And then the Dutch East India Company from the Netherlands. But to explain this a little bit more, before, the way that businesses or trade happened is that it was chartered. The king would give money to an explorer or a merchant who would then get on a ship, this is the business, okay, and go trade goods. Now, whatever profit that they made, they had to give a portion of that money back to the king. Whatever profit they made selling the goods that they had acquired, because the king paid for the business. Now, this is great for the king, but it also could be bad because if this business, this merchant, if he wrecks his ship or if he's captured by pirates, then all the king's money is lost and the king loses out. So what they did is they created this joint stock company. And basically what it does is it allows several people to invest their money in a bunch of different businesses. So this person, he's not just investing in one business. He has a little bit in this business, and this business. So if one of them fails, he doesn't lose all of his money. But also, not everybody had as much money as kings. So they couldn't fund a whole business. But what happens is they could get money from a little bit from a lot of people, and then they would have enough money to start, and then each person would get a portion of those profits. So it lessens the risk of the investor losing his money if the business fails, but it also makes it easier for people with not quite as much money to invest in the businesses. Now, this led to capitalism. This joint stock company, the rise of the gentry class, led to an economic system called capitalism, which we're really going to get into in the next unit. But capitalism is an economic system where regular people own and operate businesses without the control of the government. The more these businesses grow, the less they're going to want to be controlled by the government. The more they're going to want to do their own things. And businesses like the British East India Company have almost as much power as some European countries. And we'll get into that in the next unit too. But this capitalism, this idea that businesses are going to become more and more powerful, is going to be growing in Europe with this commercial revolution. But that is it for the commercial revolution.